y'all, welcome back to another show with Knits and Stitches. Today we are going to learn a crochet pattern, our first one, and what it is it's going to consist of the 3 stitches. The one stitch I did show you on the single crochet, the double crochet, and then also we're going to include the half double crochet. So what I decided to do with you today is a washcloth, or you can use it as like a pot holder, like to put your pots on. It's kind of nice. So this is what I'm going to kind of go step by step today to kind of show you to make. And I did go, we'll do like a little hanging thing off the end, so you can like hang them if you're going to use them as a washcloth, also so it's easier to dry. But we're going to throw in all 3 stitches on this one today and kind of show you how to create it, so don't go away. Okay, so the step process of making a simple washcloth slash pot holder. So with those of you that are just watching this video and haven't been on the channel before, if you look back on my channel, there are 2 other videos. One that shows you the chain, how to create a chain for your project, the single crochet and the double crochet. So that'll kind of give you a little bit of practice on how to get the stitches started. So let's get started on our project. Okay, today I'm going to use the same color, the dark brown, that I did for the washcloth. And I'm also using Crochet Hook G, and it's a 4.5 millimeter. Now these hooks I found on Amazon. They're another set that I have with the rubber handles that are kind of nice, but these ones I kind of also like a little more than the others because they have the nice groove here, and it makes it easier to kind of hold your needle. So like, you know, some people hold their needle like a knife. Some hold it like a pencil. So let's go ahead and we'll start our chain. So again, you're going to take your yarn, you're going to wrap it around 2 fingers, just like that. You're going to take the yarn and push it between the 2, grab it and pull it down. So it's kind of going to be like a loop like that. Take your hook, put it in the loop and tighten your yarn. And all I did is just pulled the 1 strand and tightened it around the shaft of my needle. Now you don't want it too tight again. You want to make sure you've got a good little bit of looseness there to kind of guide your needle. Okay, what you need to do to start the washcloth is you need to chain 30. So we're going to do 30 stitches in our chain to start out the project. Okay, so go ahead and do your 30 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. I start that over, sorry. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And those of you that are new watching, all that a chain is once you have your needle attached, you're just going to wrap that yarn around and pull it through. So that is considered a stitch. Then you go around and through, and you just keep kind of doing that until you have your 30 stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So now I have my chain. Now the yarn that I am using is a fairly thin yarn. but you can use pretty much any yarn that you want. I do recommend on a washcloth not to go too thick on the yarn unless you like a thicker cloth, because it makes it a lot more easier to kind of use as the washcloth, wring it out, and so on. Okay, so the first stitch that we're going to start with is the double crochet. So starting your row off the chain for a double crochet, you don't want to go into like the next first stitch. You want to be able to give that room for the first stitch that you're going to do, because it's going to be considered as your first double crochet for that row. So what we do is we go into the 4th stitch from your needle. Now you do not count, again, the one that's on the needle. You start by counting the one right next to that. So we're going to go into the 4th stitch. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So you take your needle and you wrap your yarn and you go into the 4th stitch. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Again, you're going to wrap that yarn and pull it through 2 of those hoops. Wrap your yarn again, pull it through the next 2. Now, like I stated, that's going to be your first double crochet. So you kind of got your second row started there. Kind of get a little closer to the camera. So you kind of got your second row started there on that stitch. Okay, so that's the first double crochet. So what you're going to do is you're just going to keep doing double crochets in each stitch all the way down, and don't do the last one, we'll do that one together. So just continue working your double crochets, and we'll kind of do a couple more slowly with you. Those of you that are new to the channel, you're just going to wrap your yarn, go into the very next stitch. Now as you see, this stitch right here is kind of lifted, so that's going to kind of let you know the next stitch that you're going to go into. So make sure you got your 3 loops on your hook, wrap your yarn and pull, oops, I messed that one up. So you're going to go into the stitch and got the 3 loops, wrap your yarn, pull it through 2 of the loops, wrap it again, pull it through the last 2. So let's do that a little bit slower this time. So wrap your yarn, go into the next stitch, wrap your yarn, pull it through. There's your 3 loops. Gonna wrap your yarn, pull it through 2, wrap, and pull it through 2. So we're just going to keep on and moving down that chain and get our first row of the double crochet done here. Right into the next stitch, wrap, pull through, wrap through 2, wrap through 2. And you got another one, wrap, go through the next stitch, and then wrap. So go ahead and continue on. If you need to pause the video, you can pause it and then come back and we'll get to the end and show you how to go up to the next row. Okay, I'm just about to my last end of my chain here. And one good thing to kind of practice, not only the stitches, but how comfortable it is for you on how you hold your needle. You don't have to hold it any particular way. The same with your yarn. It's whatever is easier for you to be able to kind of go easily with the flow. to where your yarn's not snagging and you're not loosening or losing your needle. Okay, so we are down to the last stitch here. Now this is your slip knot, so you don't want to count that, but the one right before your slip knot here. So this is your slip knot, and this is the knit stitch right before it. So we're going to wrap our yarn, go into the last stitch, wrap your yarn, and pull it through. You got your 3 loops there on the hook. Then you're going to take and wrap your yarn, pull it through 2, wrap your yarn, pull it through 2. So now we have our first row of our washcloth hot pad. As you can see, yours should look just like that. So those are kind of the stitches. Now if you actually, when you turn your project, as I stated in previous videos, if you look right here, these little loops here are all the stitches that you did. So to make sure that you have the right amount of stitches before going to the next row, you can actually count these stitches here and make sure that you have the right amount of stitches for whatever project you're working for. So once you're done with that row, like I said, you're going to have these stitches here and be able to count how many stitches you have. Now if you were doing like a blanket and going bigger, of course you're going to have more of the stitches here. But this is just an idea of how to keep track if you lose count of your stitches. Okay, so we're going to go to the next row. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn your design, your pattern, and the next row that we're going to do on here is a single crochet. So with a single crochet, when you're adding another row of single crochets, or if you're adding it into a pattern like we're doing today, you always want to stitch 1. You want to have stitch 1 on there, because what that's going to do is that's going to add on your second row for a single crochet. Okay, so as you go down here, you're going to see, like I said, at the top of here, you have all these stitches. Now you can have a choice of single crocheting under the first loop. Under the first loop here, that's this one. As you can see, there's actually 2 loops. There's one in the front and one in the back. There's this one in the front, this one in the back. So you can either go in the front one and do your single crochet here. You could go in between into the back and do your single crochet here. But we're actually going to go under both of those today for the washcloth. So you're going to go under both of those stitches for each stitch that we do. Okay, so let's get back here. Okay, so let's start our single crochet. So in the very next stitch from your hook, you're going to take your needle under both of those, all the way through both of those top stitches, wrap your yarn, pull it through. You're going to have the 2 loops on your needle. You're going to wrap that yarn and pull it through, and that is your first single crochet. And we're just going to continue that stitch all the way to the end. And again, don't do the last stitch, we'll do it together because we're going to work on adding another row. So you take your needle, go into the very next stitch, grab your yarn, you got your 2 loops on there. And you're going to grab your yarn, pull it through. Again, go into the next stitch, wrap your yarn, you got your 2 loops there, wrap your yarn and pull it through. Again, into the next stitch, wrap your yarn again, pull it through the 2. That's how you're going to just keep doing that all the way down for that single crochet. So as I stated, you see this one here is kind of a little stretched out. That's the last stitch you did. So you're going to take your needle into the very next stitch, wrap the yarn. You got your 2 loops, wrap it again and pull through. And we're just going to keep continuing on down until we get to that last stitch. And if you need to pause the video again, go ahead and do that as you practice that single crochet. All the way down. Okay, so this is kind of how it's going to look when we have those stitches, the single crochet there, as you can see, right along the double crochet there. And then when you do turn your pattern, you've got those stitches on the top to be able to count how many stitches you have there. So we'll just keep continuing on down to the end of the line here. Oops. And another good thing to kind of practice when you're new at crocheting, so you don't make too loose of a stitch. This little hoop that's on here, what I do is I kind of grab it with my thumb and pull it back as I go in to the next stitch like this. Grab my yarn and pull it through, and then I kind of pinch my fingers underneath it to kind of hold those loops for me, wrap, and then pull it through. So I'm kind of going to show you also as we're working on this single crochet, sometimes when you're going, if like you skip one and you crochet, you're going to notice there's going to be a gap there. Kind of realize that you kind of skipped one. If you notice that as you're going in the pattern on the same line as the stitch, if you just remove your needle and kind of pull that back to that last stitch, then you're able to just insert your needle and then just continue on. Okay, we're just about getting to the end of our row here. Okay, there's 3 more. Okay, so I'm down to my last stitch here, right there. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and finish the last stitch by going into the stitch, pull your yarn through, got your 2 loops, and pull your yarn through. And there you have your second row. You've got your double crochet, and then you've got your single crochet. And then of course on the top, there's all your stitches. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the third row. So you just turn your pattern again. Now the third row we're going to do what's called a double crochet. So to start my double crochet, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start the the double crochet. So I chained 3 because I'm lifting up the next row to prepare me for the double crochet, because the double crochet is longer than the single crochet. So you always want to make sure you have enough stitches at the start of that row, depending on what stitch you're going to be working with. Okay, so you take your needle, you go into the very next stitch. So here's the one that your needle is on. Go into the very next stitch. Oh. So wrap your yarn, go into the next stitch, wrap your yarn, and pull that through. Now it's kind of like the double crochet. When you first start, you've got your 3 loops there. 1, 2, 3 on your hook. You're going to grab the yarn, and instead of going through 2 of the loops, you're going to pull that yarn through all 3. And there is your first double crochet. Or excuse me, half double crochet. Okay, we're gonna do the next one. So wrap your yarn, go into the next stitch, all the way through, wrap your yarn, pull it through. There you've got your 3 loops. You're gonna wrap your yarn and you're gonna pull all through all 3 loops. There's your next double crochet, or excuse me, half double crochet. I keep saying double crochet. Okay, then you're gonna wrap your yarn again, go into the next stitch, pull it through, got your 3 loops again. Then you're gonna grab your yarn and pull it through all 3. Okay, let's do it one more time real slow here. So wrap your yarn into the next stitch, wrap your yarn, pull it through. Wrap your yarn, pull all through 3. So go ahead and just work your way down on this stitch with the half double crochet. And again, don't do the last stitch because we'll go ahead and work on going into the next row. Okay, I'm going to work my last few stitches a little slower here. So I'm wrapping my yarn, going into the stitch. I got my 3 loops, wrap that yarn, pull it through all 3, wrap the yarn, go into the stitch, and then through all 3. So now I'm on my last stitch. So I'll go in and do this last one. Whoops. Okay. And then there is our 3 rows so far. So we have the double crochet, we have the single crochet, and we have the half double crochet. Okay, so this is kind of our pattern, double, single, and half. So we're just going to keep continuing those rows until we have enough rows as the size of the washcloth that you're wanting here. So what I did is on this one, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I did 6.5 rows. I did 6.5 of the rows total for mine, or 6.5 of the pattern. So you're going to do a double crochet, single crochet, and a half double crochet. You're going to do those stitches 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then another 3 times, just like that, to be able to make the size that I have. Or you can actually just keep going if you want to make it a bigger one. So just keep going with the the double crochet, the single crochet, and the half double crochet. So we'll do one more of the double crochet. So what I did is we finished off that row with the half double crochet. So now we're going to do another row of double crochet. So remember, you want to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now here, I'm just going to go right into that next stitch because I want this row to be a little bit thicker in the washcloth. So as you see, when you started your chain and you did the double crochet, we went into that 4th stitch. But as you're working in here, I always go into the next one. I'll kind of show you. It's still lining up for me there. Okay, that main row on the washcloth, I always go into the 4th stitch with a double crochet because it's starting off of the chain. But as I work it up here, I go right into the next stitch. Okay, so let's continue on with the double crochet. So wrap, go into the next stitch. You got your 3 loops. 1, 2, 3, pull through 2, pull through 2. Wrap, go into the next stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so if you need to go back and re-watch how the double crochet is done, the single crochet, and then the half double crochet, go ahead and go back on the video, keep working those rows, double, single, and half, and then I will be back to show you how to finish off the washcloth. Okay, so I got the rows that I wanted and the length and width that I want of my washcloth, and I ended up doing on here, like I said, I did 6 of the patterns. So that doesn't mean 6 rows. I actually did 6 of the strips that we did, the double crochet, the single crochet, and the half double crochet. I did those 6 times on all 3 to make it the size that I have here. So what we could do is once you get done with that, you can actually make a border along the edges of your washcloth to get kind of a little fancier. You can either do it the same color or you can switch colors. And we will eventually get into that video on how to switch colors without like tying and knotting your yarn. So let's go ahead and kind of show you how to do the border. So you're at your last row here. And what I do is I chain 1. I go into the very corner of this design here, right here at the corner. So I put my needle in there, I grab the yarn and pull it through. It's just like a single crochet. So you have the 2 loops, grab it and pull it through. Okay, so on the corners, in the same hole of each corner, you want to do 3 double crochets in that same stitch. So we have 1, whoops, 2, and 3, all in the same stitch. Then you're going to want to work along each one of these. Now here is all of my stitches here. So I'm going to go under, like I said, each of the loops. So you're going to go in here under both of these loops, because there's 2 here. So you're going to go under both, pull your yarn through, wrap, pull it through, just like a single crochet. So you're just going to keep going along the edges under each one of those stitches. And I've actually did the 3 edges already and went around, but I'm going to work this last one with you from corner to corner, just to kind of show you how I created the border on the washcloth. Okay, so each stitch, just go right along the edge and do a single crochet. Right in the stitch, pull your yarn through and through the 2. You're going to go into the stitch, wrap your yarn, you got your 2 loops there, wrap your yarn, pull it through. Into the next one, grab your yarn, the 2 loops, wrap and pull through. Just a basic single crochet is all I'm doing on this one. Now there are several different borders that anyone can actually do on a border, but this is just the basic, just to kind of get you started on how we're doing just a basic single crochet border. Now as I get further along in the videos, I will get into a little bit more detailed border, detailed stitches, and that this is just to get you all started on exactly what a single, double, and half double crochet are, because those are the 3 top stitches in crocheting as a beginner. Okay, so I left this one, it is going to look different than yours because I kind of left a little bit bigger loop here, but this is the end of my corner, so I'm going to go in to the corner, and I'm going to do a single crochet again here. Now this is the corner, so we got to do 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, then right at the very next stitch, you're going to do 1 more single crochet, pull that yarn through both those loops, and this is going to start the ring that I want to add on to my washcloth. Okay, so what I do is I kind of make a little bit longer one because I kind of like to hang them kind of long from a hook like on the wall. So I'm going to chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so I have the chain right off of my corner here is my 10. Then I take my hook, go into the next stitch beside that chain all the way through, wrap my yarn and pull it through. So now I have the 2 loops, wrap my yarn and pull it through both. So as you can see, this should look like yours, except of course for I left mine open here. Yours will be actually solid, because if you went straight with the pattern, that last row would be a complete double crochet. Then you just go right off the corner and you've created your loop. So my hook is still attached, so I'm going to cut my yarn, and you're going to wrap that yarn around your hook and pull it through your stitch and pull it tight, and that will knot it off there. Now we don't want to like have all this hanging on here. You could either just cut it off if you like, but what I recommend is I just kind of weave it in. I weave it into my pattern. So each one of these stitches here at the top, I just kind of take my needle in and pull it through. And I just kind of keep going every few stitches. You can go down a row a little bit here and grab your yarn and pull it through. Or you can use an actual like needle, embroidery needle, and you could do that also. And then this will actually hide the tail into your pattern and lock it in. That's what I call it. So anyways, we just keep doing that, and when you are finished, if you want to cut the tail off or sew it in, there you have your washcloth. You can also make your loops longer. You can make them a little bit thicker. You would just do another single crochet along the loop to make your chain a little thicker on that. But I just kind of wanted to do kind of a basic to kind of get you guys practicing a little bit on the single, the double, and the half double crochet. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Definitely keep practicing. Start feeling more comfortable with that, and we will come back with another video with another pattern, and the next one will be throwing out there for you tomorrow, or the next day will be a crocheted flower. Thanks again y'all for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like the video, hit that subscribe button, follow along for more tutorials, and we'll see y'all next time.